Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. It's time for another Ag in the Courtroom segment with Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and the update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news from agview.net, Kansas State University agriculture economists say that short-term disruptions in the fed cattle and beef industries have not changed long-term motivations of how buyers and sellers establish price for cattle. They finished an exhausting review of price discovery in the fed cattle and beef industry over the last 2 decades. Not only explains current ways of doing business, but also where cattle markets may be heading into the future. Ted Schroeder and colleagues Brian Coffey and Glenn Tonzer have published a study in which they note factors that have been transforming the fed cattle and beef industry for the last 20 years, factors that have contributed to the resilience. The full study, Effective and Efficient Cattle and Beef Marketing Alignment, Price and Value Discovery, Divergent Incentives, Risk Management, and Future Prospects, is now available online. Well, you can find more ag news at agview.net. Stay right here, Dr. Roger McEowen, when we return.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And agview.net, serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
And joining us once again, Dr. Roger McEowen for the Washburn School of Law, another Ag in the Courtroom. Dr. McEowen, always great to catch up with you.
Oh, good to be with you, Ken. I always enjoy our monthly visits.
Okay, we've got a couple big things to talk about. In this first segment, we're going to talk about something that many of us have been dealing with, and that is the drought and the possibility, if you had to liquidate a livestock herd, IRS seems to be changing the goalposts all the time of when you can, where that area is, who can do it, and the timeliness of it. Is that a good explanation?
Well, yeah, that's set by statute, actually, the ability of the IRS to change the designated areas where if you have to sell more livestock than you usually do in a particular year, it's the excess amount, the gain attributable to the excess, that can be deferred under the involuntary conversion rules. Now, because this provision is under the involuntary conversion rules, you have to replace your excess livestock sold with like-kind animals. And this doesn't apply to poultry. It's just livestock held for draft, dairy, or breeding purposes, and not counting poultry. And what the IRS says by the end of September every year is, here are the counties that have a declaration, you have a disaster declaration, and you have not had a drought-free year. And your normal 4-year replacement period for those excess livestock gets extended for another year. And IRS has done that just a few days ago by the end of September, and they have designated, I believe it's 34 counties in Kansas, as eligible for that extended 1-year replacement period. So if you were coming up on the end of your 4-year period here at the end of 2021, you've now been extended till the end of 22.
Okay, so again, and the counties have kind of expanded as well based on kind of some of those regs that have already been out there.
Well, actually, this year the counties, they didn't increase the number of counties. And when I look at a map, I kind of brought my kindergarten skills back into play here, and I color shaded in the counties on the county map so I could see where they're at. All of the northern tier counties that border Nebraska, every one of those except Doniphan is listed as a drought county. So if you have livestock in those areas and you had to sell more than you normally would in your normal business practice, the excess gain attributable to that excess head that's sold can be deferred for an additional year now. Next tier down, all the counties in from Colorado until you get up to Rooks. Rooks and Osborne are not drought counties. And then you've got the next 6 that are, and then Atchison is not. You come down one more notch, you got the first 3 in from Colorado. And then the next tier down, the first 3, the first 2, and then bordering Oklahoma, you have the first 6 counties in from Colorado that border Oklahoma. Basically, the rest of the state is not in a drought designated area for purposes of this rule. Now, the other counties that we could pick up, we get Riley, Pottawatomie, Wabaunsee, and Jackson County and Dickinson County, and a couple counties north of Salina and a couple counties north of Ellsworth. And that's it. The rest of the state, basically, if you put the state in quadrants, nothing in southeast Kansas is designated in a drought area. About half of the northeast quadrant, northwest quadrant, probably 3, 4, 7, and southwest, maybe half.
Okay. Dr. Roger McEowen is joining us. So let's take a quick break. We have more to talk about with him. We'll do that when we return.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law is joining us. And now we want to talk about all the different tax situations that are working their way through Congress or maybe not working, and what you or somebody has kind of deemed this porculous.
Well, I'm one of them that has done that. Others have used more expressive terms, let me put it that way, to describe what's floating through the Congress. I'll leave it to them to say that. But it is a mess. But because there's all types of, I'll call it garbage in the infrastructure bill, there's two pieces. The infrastructure bill is one, and then you got this separate spending bill. Basically it's about 5.5 trillion, which of course equates now to zero, which is another interesting thing to talk about. But all the technical tax stuff is rolled into that. Now, I want to give a brief update on a couple of provisions for viewers right now, but just note that this can change overnight. And so it's just as I'm speaking right now, as we're recording this, this is where we're at as of right now. I think we can be fairly certain and almost assured moving forward that we will preserve the step-up basis rule at death. The carryover basis provision is dead. That's not going to pass. The House realized they don't have the votes to change the basis at death rule. That's a win for agriculture right there. It's a no change. We like to have that basis step up. Also, from a practitioner standpoint, we need that basis step up, that restart at death. Because administratively, it's very difficult to track that basis. And we get a fresh start when a decedent dies. And so the carryover basis rule, coupled with taxing that appreciation in wealth at the time of death, rather than when or if the heir sells the property, that's off the table. So I'm fairly certain that's not going to change. That's going to stay off the table. Now, the other stuff, in terms of a drop in the federal estate tax exemption down to $5 million in 2010, adjusted for inflation, about $6 to $6.2 million. I had been saying that would be about an 85% chance, or about a 50% chance. It's probably still in that realm. There still is a chance that none of this is going to go through. And as I closed out a major farm conference in Iowa City, Iowa in June, and also mentioned to the national audience online, I said, when we get to the fall, you want to pay close attention to what President Manchin says. And I said that deliberately because he's the one that is control of all of this, as well as Senator Sinema. And the administration is not in control of the agenda. Manchin and Sinema are. Because if they don't vote for this stuff, it's not going anywhere, no matter what the House does. And the House couldn't vote last week, or late in September, in early October, could not vote, and they pushed it off a few more days. So that tells me there's still a chance none of this is going to get through. There's too much dissension in the Congress. But I would say this, in the limited time that we have, if you have a trust, you want to be paying attention, because some of the rules with respect to trusts are pretty draconian. If you have a trust that has taxable income over $12,500, what they're proposing is a 39.6 tax rate on that. 12.5, that's not 400,000. That's 12.5. And there are a lot of surviving widows or widowers that have farm property that's held in a trust, and it's producing income in that trust. That could get taxed pretty heavily. And so we've got to keep our eye on that and see if there are things we can do to change that. Also, the trust and estates would be taxed at a capital gains top rate of 25%, up from current 20%. Plus, if it's a passive gain, add on another 3.8. So those are a couple of big ones right there. Of course, there's talk about changing the income tax rates, the marginal rates. There's talk about changing rules with respect to IRAs. And then the bankers are upset with one, as well as individual depositors, that would require disclosure to IRS of transactions exceeding $600, down from the current $10,000 threshold on that. That's got the banker lobby all upset. I don't think that one's going to make it, regardless of what happens with the rest of the stuff. But there's a lot of balls in the air right now. We got to keep our eye on what's happening and try and give you another update as soon as it becomes clearer.
All right. Well, speaking of that, Dr. McEowen, our time is up, but folks want to learn more about what we've talked about and get up to date on some of these breaking news items. How can they do that?
Well, a lot of this information I will post on my blog, which can be found through my website, which is washburnlaw.edu/Walter. I also tweet a lot of the fast developments that come out on my Twitter feed, and that's Washburn Walter, WALTR.
All right, Dr. McEowen, as always, appreciate it. And before you know it, we'll have another month ready to talk again. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ken.
Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law, another edition of Ag in the Courtroom. Stay with us. We'll have more coming.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Hi, I'm Emily Cope with the Kansas Corn Growers Association and Corn Commission, and I'm the Market Development Coordinator, but I also get to work on our collegiate programs, and just wanted to give an update about our newly released application for our scholarship program and Collegiate Academy. We're very excited to launch this again for the 4th year here at Kansas Corn, so our growers believe in supporting students going to school. You know, they're our future, they will be our future farmers, our future industry leaders. And so we do have a scholarship program. Our scholarships are all online. The information can be found at kscorn.com/collegiate, and it's open to any student who is a sophomore level or above attending a post-secondary school. So that could be a college, a technical school, or even a university. So we encourage students to apply and take advantage of this opportunity to be supported by our farmers who want to support the future of agriculture there. A second opportunity outside of our scholarship program is our Collegiate Academy program. So this is open again to all students in post-secondary education, freshman through senior. And then this is a great opportunity for you to network with different industry professionals across the state. We take you on tours through different sessions throughout the state, learning about, you know, agriculture and farming, meeting our farmers across the state, learning about their sustainability initiatives, and then going all the way to the demand side of things. So learning about ethanol, learning about trade in the state of Kansas, and then of course a big focus of ours is policy with the Corn Growers Association. So visiting Topeka, and then of course a trip to Washington, D.C. For our annual Corn Congress. So definitely encourage any college students you know to take advantage of this opportunity. All the information can be found on our website at kscorn.com.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
The optimal planting dates for next year's wheat crop are now open across much of Kansas, but agronomists are cautioning producers to carefully watch and mitigate pest and disease issues as planting season gets underway. Army cutworms migrate from the Rocky Mountains into Kansas each fall. This year's larvae are particularly abundant and voracious, feeding on just about any plants, including alfalfa and emerging stands of wheat and other crops. Fall army cutworms do not typically overwinter in Kansas, but a hard frost or freeze will be required to stop their spread, as seed treatments do not work well against this pest. As a result, producers should prepare to address both this current generation and another likely generation, as the wheat crop starts to emerge before winter temperatures set in. Wheat curl mites that spread wheat streak mosaic virus and other diseases also pose a serious threat to the Kansas wheat crop each year. The mites survive the summer on volunteer wheat and certain other grasses. As those plants die off, the wheat curl mites leave, in search of new plants to feed on. Earlier planted wheat is likely to become infested and thus become infected with wheat streak mosaic virus, high plains virus, and triticum mosaic virus. So producers should watch volunteer wheat stands closely before starting to plant. The wheat curl mites are moved by wind and can be carried a mile or more before dying. So make sure all volunteer wheat within a mile is completely dead at least 2 weeks before planting. Another good management consideration would be to select wheat varieties with resistance to the wheat streak mosaic virus and or tolerance to the wheat curl mite, especially in the western portions of the state.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Last year, the Kansas Department of Agriculture began a new program to help us shine a spotlight on those in the agriculture community who go above and beyond to serve others in the industry, and we call it Kansas Ag Heroes. Just like last year, we received some wonderful nominations, and we selected several standouts and recognized them during the Ag Growth Summit on August 26th. Those selected for special honors included Jacob Thomas, a third-generation farmer who provides wholesome local food to those in need. He is a vendor at local farmers markets, operates a farm store, and provides numerous donations to the Food Box program. Alice Minette of Wichita is the statewide ag reporter for Gannett and the Hutchison News. She's increased the exposure of agriculture news in Kansas, providing coverage of current ag events and interesting, thoughtful ag features. Greg Mick is owner-operator of a large fifth-generation farm in Osborne, where he employs no-till and minimum tillage farming practices to sustain his land for future generations, along with significant volunteer efforts in the community. Jamie Needham of Pomona has served as the Overbrook Farmers Market Manager since 2019 and helped it grow from 7 to 30 vendors, and she coordinates special events for the market vendors and community. Reverend Doreen Rice of Junction City leads the Church of the Covenant in serving the neighborhood with home-cooked meals handed out to those in need, free of charge. You can see more about the 2021 Kansas Ag Heroes, including other nominees, and the recording of the recognition presentation on our website at agriculture.ks.gov/summit. KDA appreciates all those who submitted nominations, and we are especially thankful for these Kansas Ag Heroes and the thousands more we know stepped up to serve this year.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Kansas State University researchers have completed a study that looks at the potential value of carbon credits and whether it's an opportunity for farmers in Kansas to earn extra income. Carbon credits refer to a tradable permit or certificate that offset the emission of 1 ton of carbon dioxide or another greenhouse gas by the credit holder. Large corporations like McDonald's and Microsoft recently have announced voluntary efforts to reduce carbon emissions by contributing to a carbon credit market. Agriculture is one of several industries that could benefit from the offsets sought by corporations. In effect, a farmer could be paid for implementing practices on their land that reduce carbon emissions, like no-till or planting cover crops, which are practices that sequester carbon from the air and store it in the soil. The K-State study was geared toward helping farmers better understand how to enter the carbon market and what factors should be considered before signing a contract. A few of those factors include determining the length of the commitment, what the tenant-landlord relationship would be, the type of data the farmer would be required to provide, and how that data would be used by the buyer. The research was presented at the recent K-State Risk and Profit Conference in Manhattan. The full presentation can be viewed by going to the events section on agmanager.info and clicking on Risk and Profit Conference.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Mitch Stewart here with Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom. On September 30th, the USDA released the U.S. quarterly grain stocks. Before the report, the average analyst estimates were 1.155 billion bushels for corn, 172 million bushels for beans, and 1.852 billion bushels for wheat. The actual numbers came in at 1.78 billion bushels for wheat, 1.155 billion for corn, and 256 million bushels for soybeans. The big surprise of the day was the very bearish soybean number, which pushed the November futures to their lowest point in 4 months, and set a negative tone for the next week as futures drifted lower. Corn found itself a couple cents lower as it had been on a steady grind higher since its low on the monthly WASDE report. Wheat was the big winner as Kansas City wheat settled 20 cents higher and Chicago wheat settled 15 cents higher on the day. Wheat was the only number that came in under the trade estimates and was down 18% compared to the ending stocks a year ago. Harvest is in full swing throughout the Midwest. As of October 3rd, corn harvest was estimated to be 29% complete through the 18 states, and soybeans were seen at 34% complete. Both these numbers are well ahead of the past 5 years' average. As we move deep into harvest with a more exact number for this year's production, some more marketing decisions are on the table, along with looking at next year's marketing. If you would like to discuss, give us a call at 888-452-8751. I'm Mitch Stewart with Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us online, kansasagreport.net, or on our social media channels. Let's be safe out there. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
No one plans to get sick or injured. But when life happens, it's important you and your family are protected. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans are there to provide continued health care coverage to meet your needs. Choose from a broad range of individual and family plans. And if you're over 65, we have options for you too. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.